Welcome back to the channel. Oh, almost there. This episode finds me in the 33rd bend of Stelvio Pass, heading down. And just trying to time my departure perfectly so that I have nothing behind me and nothing up front. As you can see, we're now slightly below the tree line, and it is making a difference. Not a great deal of difference, but that shadow does make a little bit of difference. And every difference helps with the temperatures that I am now riding in. And it certainly isn't getting any cooler the lower I go down the mountain. What you can see though is kind of what the gradient is. It's not all too clear, but you are basically doing a U-bend every couple of 100 meters. And it's in these temperatures, it's sometimes a bit of a challenge to stay concentrated. And you have to do that because there isn't much protection on the right hand side here. Not at all. It's the sheer drop actually. So you do have to concentrate all of the time, continually. Also as to perhaps what's coming up behind you. It can happen all quite quickly, especially with the local riders. So the question is, how do you spot a local rider? Well, to be honest, generally it's the speed they're doing. Most of the local riders, or riders that do this very often, know, just like the Isle of Man racers, they know pretty much every metre, or even stone, bend, every bump, every place there's a grill or a raised part of the road, they'll know about it. But it's generally the speed. They are riding with such an enormous amount of confidence that you just have to let them go when it happens. I'm quite happy to do that. I don't want them behind me. And they disappear out of view fast enough. And those are the local riders. There will be examples today. A couple of them actually. There are, of course, areas of Stelvio where the roads are slightly narrower, and the areas between, or the distances, should I say, between the bends aren't that far. And this is another example of that. You can literally, this was maybe 150 meters, not even 150 meters from the last bend. So there are still further down the mountain areas where the bends are tighter and closer together. That just makes it fun. Just keeps you alert. Not that you could fall asleep, I think, doing this kind of route. I'm just enjoying it too much, to be honest. Way too much. I have a lot of respect for people that cycle this, especially in these temperatures. And unless they're in training for something, or I mean, would you do it for pleasure when the temperature is 38 degrees? Look at the timing of that. Look at the timing of that. I could have hit that bus at any point in the last 10 bends and it would have been wrong. And we passed each other exactly in that wide spot. Brilliant timing. You can't make that up, huh? That might have been a thing. Still, this is a beautiful ride. Absolutely gorgeous. I can't think of many other rides that are this green with this many hairpins like this. I have ridden, obviously I've ridden loads of different roads, but I think it's the fact that there are so many after each other which makes it so much fun. And that's what I mean by local riders. They know what they're doing. I'm letting them go. Don't want them behind me. There we go. Bye bye. Road's mine again. And they disappear just like that, as if by magic. Once you're on these mountain passes like this, it is basically just one road. You're not going to need navigation once you're going down a mountain, or going up, as the case may be. I am now heading in the general direction of Prato. There are a couple of places between where I am now and there. Prato is actually, because it's Trafoi. This is an area, not just a place, a village. It's actually an area of Italy. It's great fun when you see another Riker. That was actually number 3. Number 2 I didn't get on film, but it is good to see Rikers on the mountain, and here we go. This is number 4. Number 4 Riker of the day. Yeah, those were people. I recognised that Riker, the black and white one, as one that was at the Grossglockner this year at the event, hence the toot. Recognition of the number sticker on the front, I believe. But like I said, once you're on the road, you are basically on one road. You're not going to need navigation for a while. I am now heading in the general direction of Prato, and that's where I am hoping to find accommodation. I may have to stop for petrol in the very near future. Other than that, I'm going to ride straight through to the accommodation, because I think I've earned it today. It's been a wonderful riding day. The weather's been glorious, and it's just been fun. You know, everything has gone the way it was supposed to go. And you can't always say that. You know, I've had some horrific weather conditions, and today has been a simple joy. Absolutely gorgeous. No complaints at all. And the feeling that I am about to get a shower and a cold beer, not necessarily in that order, but just that idea alone is keeping me going right now. I've still got a little way to go, but what a beautiful ride. Very chill. This will be a day. Oh, another local rider. Like I was saying, a local rider. Look at the speed. You know, they know these roads. It's just better to get out of the way. And I'm not sure if I even saw that guy. You know, you do at the moment that he goes past you, but he was fast. And, you know, Italy are all petrol heads anyway. That kind of speed you can expect. One thing you do notice, or it could just be now, I've noticed this in more places, is that the further away from the villages you get, the thinner the traffic is. Literally, the traffic kind of disappears. And we all know that once I am alone on the road, so there's nothing in front and there's nothing behind me, is my happy place. This is actually reminding me, although I've had these kind of bridges and tunnels. It's a bridge and a tunnel, actually. Those moments when you are driving through that kind of tunnel reminded me of Switzerland. And I mean, when you think about it, it is actually all one mountain range. The Alps, whether it's the Italian Alps, the Austrian, Swiss, or even German Alps, it is all one mountain range. With a quick stop off along the way, I was able to search for accommodation and found this place, tucked away in Prato. Actually, in the middle of the village is the Astoria. Able to park directly outside, which is a pre. Well, this isn't bad, is it? That's normally actually a door to the balcony, so I can go out if I want to. Oh. I have a kitchen. I have a bedroom with a helmet that's loading up. And a bathroom. It's all here. Not bad, not bad. Spontaneous booking. A little bit more expensive, but it does include breakfast. And the beer's great. So again, I've woken up to glorious weather. Not bad. So over breakfast, I have pondered the routes, and I've found one that is going to be okay for a while. I need to make some kilometres now as I'm heading towards the Dolomites. I've had contact with Anne Griffin and Tamuna, and they are also heading now in the general direction of Stelvio and Como. So we have agreed to meet up, not with a fixed destination. You can see now I'm heading towards Boza and Murano, because I haven't booked it yet. Simple as that. On most of the main roads, even in the villages, because a lot of these main roads do go actually straight through quite pretty villages. Sometimes I think it's a bit of a shame. Other side of it is it's probably the only attention they would get if they weren't on a main road, and it does keep the places alive because there are some pretty incredible buildings in Italy, and you come across them sometimes at the most unimaginable moments, and they always seem to be perched up on the top of hills. And if you bear in mind that you're actually generally altitude wise you're fairly quite high up in Italy, so the fact that some of these places are right up on the top of hills as well, the views must be absolutely staggering up there. However, like I was saying, this is a main road, and it's not exactly a hate of main roads. Sometimes you do have to use them. If I can, I will get off of the faster roads as quickly as possible. It's the only way really you get the feeling that you're in an authentic part of the world. And it is a shame just to be looking at white lines and or yellow lines, as the case may be. I still prefer the older roads, and they do give you the most amount of authenticity. You can find them, you just have to zoom in on Google Maps. And this road is also now steadily climbing. There wasn't a sign telling me what the gradient is or what I can expect. And the GoPros do have a strange way of kind of levelling things out. So the steepness of a road is never quite, it never comes across quite in the way it should do. Even here, the steepness of this road was ridiculous, but I've still managed to find a couple of very small roads, and this is one of them. It's one of those give and take moments. Yes, he had right of way, but hey, you know, I'm not that big. You can see in places here just how steep this road is. Local kids, they love it. Even with the GoPro, it's showing you how steep this road was, and it was continually steep, going upwards and upwards and upwards and upwards. And bearing in mind that this is an area that gets quite a lot of snow each year, I cannot imagine what it would be like if you lived somewhere near the top of this. And I suppose unless you're going to ski down, they must keep the roads ice free in some shape or form, even though this is not really a main road. I cannot imagine it trying to get up here in a car when this is all covered in snow and ice. This is an incredibly steep hill. And what a place to live. Can you imagine the views from the houses here? Oh, there are moments in life when I can be extremely jealous of people. Very jealous. But it's generally short-lived. Because then you think of all the bad things and you think, no, it's not that great. It's not that great. Because, I mean, it is really extremely hot now. Look at that building up there. Oh, that's what I mean. There are some really random buildings here. And although he's so high up, that building completely disappeared with the tree line. It's quite clever really, isn't it? Quite a great defence. I'm not sure if they ever needed it. But we are really high up now. Very high up. However, I would say that the temperature, yet again, has not changed a great deal. I do not appear to be gaining very much as far as temperatures. You always kind of hope that the higher up you go, the cooler it will be. Well, obviously this area of Italy seems to be an exception, because it still feels like 38 degrees. It's not cooling off. So anyway, I will be needing to stop shortly so that I can look for an accommodation, and that'll give me a much better idea of where I'm going to end up. And hopefully I can find somewhere that will give us some form of some form of refreshment, hopefully with a restaurant. That will be to be advised. What today has actually proved to me is just how gorgeous Italy actually is. And it's not my first time in Italy, but it does remind me, with the colours and the stones and the flowers everywhere, just how beautiful it actually can be. And it always seems to be, it doesn't seem to make a difference which time of year I'm here. They always seem to get that right. I've decided that somewhere between where Anne now is and where I am, that I need to find an accommodation that is conducive to her route and to mine. And I've come up with one in Cavalessa. All I need to do really is to let Anne know which accommodation I've picked out, and with the amount of time it's going to take them to get to here, so that I can judge whether I need to eat here or not, or wait for them, basically. So this is the moment that I find the accommodation, and I think, well, there is enough to choose from here, and it's the perfect location, exactly in the middle between where I was and where Anne and Tamuna now are. So if I can find a little bit of shadow, this is the moment to do it. And it doesn't seem to really matter where you park up. Kids love this thing. So, having found a lovely little park in the shadow, I was able to let Anne know which accommodation I'd booked, and it was really the perfect location. Managed to get 2 rooms just for one night, and yes, the beer was great. And it's always great to meet up with people on the road, you know, and I've had quite a lot of contact with in the last couple of years. And this was a great location, lovely hotel. Air conditioning. This, I actually drove past that, coming in. There's a whole village that's been submerged, like a bit like in Turkey they do with the stoomies, with the thing. That is here.
Możesz dać jeszcze slinkę, jak my obserwujemy,
That church tower is there. And I actually came in that route, basically. So this, you can see, that is literally like this. Yeah. So, having discussed the various routes and things that should be seen on the route that I've just come through, Tamuna, as usual, taking 100,000 photos and films. So we have said our goodbyes. We will be going in totally different directions. Anne to the left, myself to the right. She will be heading off towards Stelvio and eventually Lake Como. And my plan is to, in inverted commas, do the Dolomites. It's an area that, although I've kind of passed by, I've never actually been to the Dolomites. When I have skied, it's been in Austria or France, not in the Italian Alps. So an area for me which is a completely new area, and that's something I'm really looking forward to, especially with this weather. It's not often I get the combination for this length of time. So really, it's almost tempting fate to say something about it. But looking at the weather forecast, it looks like I'm going to get lucky over the next week or so. Only time will tell. So with a parting glance, a wave and a big heart, we go our separate ways. I am so looking forward to this part of this journey. A mountain area that I've never been to. That list is getting shorter. Ha! So the Dolomites, I was going to say, is a bucket list, but actually it's about 10 bucket lists, because there are lots of different mountain passes in the Dolomites. Anybody that perhaps has seen any footage of the Winter Olympics, a lot of it was held in this area. It just looks so much different when it's not all covered in snow. It's like the Technicolor version of the black and white version that everybody's seen. It is so pretty when you see it in full colour. And the nice thing about this area, it feels like the mountain passes are much closer together. When I think about Switzerland, and sometimes you have kilometres between the mountain passes, here it all seems to be connected, which makes it a lovely place to be based if you just want to stay in one accommodation and do lots of different mountain passes, because it's all reachable. More so than any of the other mountain areas that I've been to, surprisingly so. And it's all just as gorgeous. So what I want to do is, until now, just to give you a little bit of a recap of some of the accommodations that I've stayed in on the way and the dates. It gives you an idea of just how much time you perhaps do need if you want to do certain areas. I'm trying to give as much information as possible. This is another area that will be being used for the Winter Olympics. You can see there, looks like they're building, what do they call it when they glide down the thing and then jump off it? Oh, other than loads of fun. And a broken leg if I was doing it. It's just funny because everywhere you go now, like on the roundabouts and things, you start to see like the Olympic rings and that kind of thing, and it's a little reminder that a lot of it is obviously going to be staged in this area, which is kind of nice to see, and it is beautiful. I mean, again, if you've not ridden through Italy, it's difficult to describe it, so this is actually quite accurate. these are the styles of the houses that you're going to see everywhere, and with the balconies. And I'm not sure if it all looks a little bit Swiss or a little bit Austrian. It's a kind of mixture of both, and I suppose that's logical really, because they're bordering countries here. But this is the kind of country you will be riding in continually, you know. And again, these are the bigger roads, and you've still got a beautiful view, absolutely stunning, and the temperatures to go with it. So yeah, no problem with petrol stations. They are literally everywhere here, thankfully. Not on the mountain passes, that's a known fact. You are not going to find petrol stations in the mountains. So it's good that all of the villages have petrol stations. I mean, it does remind me of Switzerland, looking at this, where you have that kind of completely flat field, and then boom, that the mountain appears at 90 degrees. Actually, it's not just, it's you know, Switzerland has it, Italy has it. I've seen that in Austria too. So, you know, it's just gorgeous. And it's all around you, you know. It's you know, a lot of places, it's a beautiful place, and you go to it and you enjoy it. You ride around a couple of roads, and then you ride home, you know, or you go back to wherever it was you came from. Here, this is literally the whole route. There are very few places where you haven't got this kind of view, especially in the Dolomites. Then it just gets more extreme. So this really is a very accurate point of view of what it actually looks like to ride in Italy. And of course it changes continually with the light and direction. So it just keeps giving. It's just one of those landscapes. It's absolutely beautiful. And look at the condition of the roads. I mean, could it get any better? And if you consider that these roads are covered in snow for at least a couple of months each year, the condition of the road is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So as far as that goes as well, this is a very accurate portrayal of the kind of conditions you would be riding in if you're riding in Italy. Well, northern Italy anyway. I can't imagine that the roads are going to get any better the further south you get. I would say, on top of that, is that in general, the roads that run through national parks tend to be better maintained, I suppose, because they get maybe subsidies, etc. But these roads don't actually really look like they've been repaired. A little here and there, but like I said, like considering how much snow they get, and then every year probably scraped, the roads are incredibly smooth. They might look a bit patched here and there, but actually riding over it, there are virtually no bumps. Same goes for here. And you can expect snow on the mountains and the higher places, but the condition of the roads are fantastic. And I'm giving this guy loads of space because it's not him. It's not about him. It's about what's behind him. Look at that. And especially when you're seeing bikes, because at any moment, even in a bend, it's possible that someone is going to overtake you because they don't have the patience to wait. So those are those moments that I can see and you couldn't on camera. But they are exactly the kind of moments that people will take the opportunity to overtake. I mean, look, that was such a... that could have been nasty, right? But you see the knee down club. I could see that there was nothing coming down the hill. He could see that there was nothing coming down the hill, so he decided that that was the moment to go for it. Me overtaking that car that was so randomly parked there in the shadow, and yet they had, for whatever reason, a reason to stop exactly there. Still, look at this road. Absolutely brilliant, phenomenal. The knee down clubs disappeared as usual. I say it's much better to let them go. Just let them go. They obviously know the roads like the backs of their hands, and I don't. And I'm not in any hurry. Why would I be in a hurry when you've got roads like this? And again, you can see how steeply this road is climbing. The camera, sometimes they say the camera never lies. Not sure if that's completely true. I mean, this one doesn't appear to be quite so steep, purely because you can see the trees around you, you can see kind of, but there, bomb, that's a steep bit. Here it's not too bad, but the fact that I have this road virtually to myself, and it's a funny thing because this little stage of the trip is just 60 kilometres. But it still tells you you're going to do about 2.5 hours over it to arrive in Sottoguda, which is where I found a fantastic little hotel with the best ever view for breakfast in the morning. So I decided to stay for a little bit longer.